Well, it was a valiant effort for the Air Force Falcons in the first half, but unfortunately the shooting woes once again took over in the second half as the Fresno State Bulldogs win by a final score today of 79-62. Fresno State with their fourth Mountain West Conference win, and unfortunately for the Falcons, they fall to 0-10 in Mountain West Conference play. Thanks for joining us here courtside, Brian German. And this was just a tale of two halves for the Air Force Falcons. It was a pretty good basketball game in the first half as the Falcons were down just 5 at the end of the first 20 minutes. But in the second 20, the Falcons could not get shots to fall, and Fresno just kept building that lead, and that's where they ended up with this big win over the Air Force Falcons. Let's take a look at the stats as they lined up. The Falcons were shooting close to 50% in this game at halftime. They backed off to 39%. And that's really what happened, is the Falcons just couldn't throw in the ocean, if you want to talk truth here in the second half. They played well, were close with the rebounds, they were close with the assists. They turned the ball over a bit too much, and it's really a lack of confidence for this basketball team. When shots don't fall, you've got to believe they're going to go in, and you got to throw them up as if you know it's going in, not hoping it's going to go in. So the Falcons still got to find some confidence as they move on throughout the season. Let's take a look at the highlights from this basketball game. And for the Falcons, there were a few good performances. Cam Sanders was one of them. He hit one three-pointer, and he ended up with 9 points in this basketball game. That's just 2 shy of his second leading performance on this team so far this year. He did a good job with a hoop and hack right there. 9 points for him. Ethan Greenberg led the way for the Falcons with 11 points on 3 of 8 shooting. He was cold early, then he got hot, but then he got cold again, as he was 3 of 6 from a three-point line. He also had 6 rebounds. So it was a really good game for Ethan Greenberg. But like I said, it was early on, and too little early on. Can you even say that? For Fresno State, Jake Heidbreder, the former Falcon, usually leads the way for them. He had 14 points. He only had 5 at the break, but he had 9 in the second half on 5 of 12 shooting. So Jake trying to fill it up. But the story really for the Falcons, besides Jake Heidbreder, was a guy by David Douglas Jr. He did a great job scoring 21 points. He was 7-11 from the floor. He had a season-high 5 three-pointers on 8 takes, 2 for 5 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, and just a great job for David Douglas Jr., as he really was the man that the Falcons needed to stop in this basketball game. But unfortunately, the Falcons end up losing this game to Fresno State. Their next game, it doesn't get any easier for the Falcons. They go to one of the hardest places to play in the Mountain West against a first-year Mountain West team, the Grand Canyon Lopes. That place rocks when they play, but the Falcons starting to put some things together. They got to put together more than 20 minutes, though, to win a basketball game. So they go on the road to take on Grand Canyon, and Fresno State will be looking for their 5th win as they will take on UNLV at Fresno State, the Safe Martin Center. That's what's next up for the Bulldogs. Well, we hope you enjoyed this basketball game today. Thanks for joining me on this solo flight, but that'll do it for us as Fresno State beats Air Force 79-62. We hope you enjoyed this. For myself and myself, this is myself saying so long from Clune Arena. Thanks for watching.